All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Around the Wiffle Horn. Keeping up with the theme of incorporating different teams from the league. Today we have the 2020 Petty and the Heartbreakers. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, Food.
Thanks for having us.
Great to see you guys are obviously still alive during quarantine. It's very exciting. Before we start, I just want to thank some of our sponsors. We want to thank Zoom, obviously, for giving us the platform to perform this type of show. We want to thank Babs Big Flies for providing wood bats for a lot of our players now. We want to thank Font Guy for a lot of the clothing we've been getting as a league. And we want to thank Moonshot and Wiffle and all these other companies that have helped Golden Stick and other Wiffle Ball League kind of try to get back into it. There you go, Dan. Very nice. Also, a quick shout out, Mr. Joe Cavalier, who is here today, is the newest member of the podcast community with his new show, new podcast, the Line 'Em Up podcast. So when we get to him, obviously he'll give a shout out and give a little bit about that. But first, let's just go around the horn. Maybe just quickly introduce yourselves and maybe give us a little bit of what you're going to bring to the table when it comes to the 2020 Petty and the Heartbreakers. Daniel Mora, why don't you start it off?
Oh, perfect. I'm Dan Mora. I'm going to be 26 in August. I don't know. I'm fortunate to have been not asked to be on the team. I was kind of looking for a team previously. I would make my own team, and due to fortunate circumstances, the coronavirus is certainly unfortunate, but due to the fortunate circumstance that Petty and the Heartbreakers was looking for a fifth guy, kind of, not really. They picked me up. I'm appreciative of that. So, yeah. So that's pretty much that.
Wow.
I don't know why you went to me first. I'm cutting balls.
Well, that's because you're on the top left of my screen, and that's just how it works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to hop down. We're going to save the brothers for a little bit later. We'll hop down to Mr. John Petrich, also known as Petty. Petty, welcome to the show, and what's going on, pal?
What's up? Nice to see you guys.
Hey.
Socialize with anyone.
Baby. See it. Well, we know that you've been working every day, so kudos to you for being out there and still working, so thank you very much. So what do you think you're going to bring to the 2020 Petty and the Heartbreakers, since the team is clearly named after you?
My experience, my leadership skills, I guess. And, the pitching staff. I think we have a good pitching staff this year. That's for sure. I think we have a steady lineup.
All right.
I'll take the ball here next. Is the farthest you can keep me away from the mound, the better. We're all very.
We added two pitchers for a reason, Dan.
Yeah, we added two pitchers because we knew that me being even an option was not a very savvy tactical maneuver. So we're
right. You retired from pitching.
There you go. Dan, let me ask you this question. Since even though the team name is Petty and the Heartbreakers, not Earhart and the Heartbreakers, are you still...
Oh, my gosh, Petty and the Heartbreakers. What are we doing? What are we doing?
That's fascinating. How do we not realize that?
No. Font Guy's got the logo. We're locked in.
2021.
You might steal that.
So, Dan, you're the captain of this team. So talk a little bit how you try to, obviously you're going to keep your brother on board, and but you brought in 3 new players this year. So let's talk about it.
Yeah. So last year was the plan was to play with Sean regardless of what was going on, and we were doing some off-season stuff. I think that indoor tournament that Pace ran last year was when our conversations with John kind of took off there. We started talking about joining up, and Petty was looking for a team, and so we thought the core of us 3 was going to be pretty solid. Sean had a buddy, Aiden, who had a St. John's baseball pedigree, so we added him, and he quickly found out that this is not baseball. He had a rough go last season, but that core of that team, the Silver Bullets, I really loved playing with John and Sean, so we wanted to continue that. Moving on into next year, I thought we had a pretty positive season overall. We won some games we shouldn't have won. That game against the enemy at the Open was that was a hell of a game. Sean, you pitched your butt off there.
Had him on the ropes.
Had him on the ropes. I, in typical fashion, spiked the game-sealing double play into the ground to give them new life and that tying run, and then Tyler did his thing in the extras. But that kind of showed us that we could hang with everybody. And then the Yard League, you can do that. You can just it's really that the format really lends itself to having competitive teams up and down the board.
No doubt at all.
So we went into free agency and we looked and we saw Cavs was available. We actually were in talks with Danny well ahead of him committing with us, but he had kind of other stuff going on, so we backburnered that, and then Danny was available. So I think we're really excited. It's we have pitching now. Sean really came into with the record he's got going on there. With the rookie of the year, I believe, right? That was the case. So that's awesome. And
no doubt
throws, and Danny can throw too. So we're I think we're locked and loaded.
I would agree. I think your roster definitely has improvements in the arm. I want to apologize. Something I said before. I actually said 3 free agents. There should have been 2. Petty actually played with the team last year, so that was my mistake. I just wanted to just clear the air there for a second. All right. So real quick, Sean, you're gonna play with your brother again this year, and then we're gonna get to Joe before he heads out of here. Earhart, you're playing with your brother again. You love each other, but what have you learned from him after 1 year of playing in Whiffs with him, and now, at least on a competitive level? So what are you going to bring to 2020?
Yeah, definitely learned a lot. I mean, Dan's the one that brought me into wiffle ball. So I mean, I was playing baseball for a long time. I learned how different it was really quickly. It doesn't translate at all. But no, I had a great time last year with Dan and Petty. Just looking to keep on what I was doing from last year, keep hitting. Hopefully I can throw a little bit. I mean, we got 2 studs we just added with Petty, so I think they're going to be on the mound a lot.
Let me ask you a question. What's your opinion on your hair?
I mean, it's got to be up there for best in the league, no?
Very possible. I mean, I know that you self-proclaimed best hitter in the league, best hair in the league, but I don't know. We'll let the jury be out on that one. All right. So that leaves us with Mr. Joe Cavaliere. Jojo, you've been in the league for a few years now. You used to play with the Mercenaries. Then your team kind of, I won't say fell apart, but, not in a bad way. Geoff wasn't sure with his schedule because of work, and Arnari happened to get hurt. So you kind of had like a void, and the artists formerly known as the Silver Bullets, now the Petty and the Heartbreakers, were able to pick you up. So first, welcome to the team. Talk a little bit about that, and then take as much time as you need and plug your new podcast.
Yeah. No, I've been playing the league, I think, for like 6 years now. So, I mean, I've learned a lot the last couple of years. Like I said, I was with Jeff and Nick for probably, I think, about 4 years. I was with Phil and Sean for my first year. So I just learned a bunch, keep learning, especially being at like the Screw Bowls and talking to guys like that. And now with this team, Dan texted me, so I was a free agent, kind of was wondering if I was interested. I think I was a good fit here. And then we added Danny. So I think one of our, our pitching is going to be could be top in the league with, I think we're going to have a solid lineup. I'm looking forward to learning a lot, especially being like a lefty, having Petty on the team. So I think that's going to help me out, and I think it's going to help us win some games.
Gee, Sean's lefty too. I mean, we got more lefties than righties, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, lefties are always dangerous. See, it doesn't really matter what the sport is. Lefties always seem to give righties a difficult time versus, righties giving lefties time.
We're smarter than you.
Oh, that's debatable, but probably true. So, Joe, we know that you're on a little bit of a time crunch today. So why don't you just take a few minutes, part of your new podcast, and maybe just, another final note about your 2020 expectations for Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yeah, me and my friend Danny made a podcast called Line 'Em Up Podcast. It's on Instagram, it's on YouTube, it's on SoundCloud, all that. I have the link in my bio under my personal Instagram, but you can always look them up, just Line 'Em Up Podcast. They'll come up. We have 1 episode out right now. We're working on the rest. Coming out soon. It's basically just all about sports news, sports betting. So we talk about, everything really, every sport, all like different kind of money lines and odds and stuff like that. So the first podcast we did was the NFL draft. We took a couple bets through some books on, some like props for the draft and stuff like that, and our expectations for the coming football season.
How'd you hit?
Huh?
How'd you hit?
Did all right. Did all right. Not as good as I
Joe
wanted
Burrow was a
to,
lock.
Well,
you
he's
know,
not going to admit if he lost. That would do nothing for his show then. You know? Yeah, listen to our show. Losing bets all the time.
Giants messed
Fade us, and we're great.
Giants messed me up. My boy Danny did really good. So we just basically talked like the top 10 picks and what we thought was going to happen, how many receivers would be drafted in the first round, stuff like that. But so definitely you guys can. We'd appreciate it. Check it out. Give us a follow.
Yeah.
So that just started up. And as far as this year, I expect some good things. I really do. I think we got now with Dan and Hetty, I see like, their leadership and the, how many years they've been playing with us and, in the league and stuff like that. I think that's going to come into the play for, me, Sean, Danny being the younger guys and, being able to have like the veterans there and the experience that they have. So I expect some good things. I really think we're going to do well this year.
I would agree. I think you guys definitely had a lot of. I know just in general, looking at this roster, I see a lot of talent. I see a lot of young talent. I see a lot of veteran talent. I see guys who can pitch. I see guys who can hit, and I see guys who can. I don't know. Definitely just make it difficult to win games. I know that we'll probably struggle, especially if Petty pitches, because he'll throw that nice ephus pitch, and we'll be like, and then nothing will happen. And but then I know that I'll be able to strike Sean out because he's a bum, and the way if he plays, whiffs the way he's been playing golf the last few nights, not looking very good for the Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Xbox golf is not the same as real golf.
That's very true.
Real golf isn't the same either. He's just bad at everything.
No doubt. All right, so listen. So we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna let Joe go hang out with his family and do what he's got to do. Coming up next, we're gonna talk about some more 2020 expectations, some more quarantine agendas, and then everybody's favorite debate, especially if you're a New Jersey person: pork roll or tail of ham.
Ooh.
Back after this.